In this tabletop review, we're going to be taking a look at another tactical flashlight. Surprise, surprise. As you can't already tell, I'm kind of a fanatic when it comes to flashlights. I just love flashlights. I seem to keep purchasing flashlights. I have flashlights everywhere, in all of my tactical bags, my bug out bags, my car, my kitchen, my bedroom, the living room, the garage. So this was another flashlight that I came across. It's made by a company called Zanflare. This is their F1 flashlight. Now, a lot of flashlights that I do reviews on are relatively inexpensive flashlights because, well, if I'm buying a lot of flashlights, I normally buy relatively inexpensive ones so I can buy a lot more of them. But I do buy expensive flashlights or more expensive flashlights from time to time, depending upon what the need is. And normally, the more expensive the flashlight, the more functionality you get out of it. And it reaches a point where, you know, for $100, $200, you're really not getting a lot of additional value once you start getting up to a higher price point on a lot of flashlights. They might be completely crush proof or pressure resistant if you're diving 200 feet below the ocean, things of that nature. You start to get into some really specialized functionality with some of the more expensive flashlights. This one is off of Zanflare's website, is $39.99. I'll put the description, or I'll put the link to this particular flashlight in the description of the video if you want to go to their website and check it out. There is a link off of their website that takes you to this flashlight on Amazon, but it's not currently available for purchase directly from Amazon. So you would have to purchase it directly from Zanflare. Alright, so for $39.99, what do we have here? Well, we have a flashlight that can take either two CR123A batteries, two RCR123 batteries, which are the rechargeable nature, or a single 18650 rechargeable battery. This particular flashlight does not ship with any batteries, so let me make that clear right off the bat. The battery that you see is a battery that I supplied. We'll talk about that a little later. This is made from an aero grade aluminum, which appears to be a 6061 aluminum. It has a military grade anodized HA3 finish. It is a 7-mode flashlight. We'll talk about the different modes as well. It is IP68 waterproof, and it's O-ring protected. It has a USB port for charging only when you're using rechargeable batteries. So keep that in mind. If you're not using rechargeable batteries, you can't really use the charging port. This flashlight is ideally made for rechargeable batteries, and that's what I have in it right now. It is listed for a 1.5 meter impact, or it's 1.5 meter impact resistant. So you could drop this from 1.5 meters and it should survive the drop. It also has a tail safety hammer. I'll talk about that when we get the flashlight out of the box. It is 5.35 inches in length, weighs 3.39 ounces. It uses a Cree XP-7 V6 LED. Cree LEDs are some of the best LEDs on the market. They provide the best light output. They're the most efficient, and they give you the widest output color available of the LEDs that I've seen. The max output of this is listed as 1240 lumens, but there is a catch to that, and I'll talk about it a little bit later when I talk about some of the additional specs. It has a built-in circuit board that provides you a memory function. So when you turn it on and you enter into a specific memory function and then you turn the light off, the light will remember which function it was last in, and it will pull that up again when you turn it on. So if it's in strobe mode and you turn it off and you turn it back on, it will come back in strobe mode, and so on. It also includes reverse polarity protection, So if you install the batteries backwards, you don't short anything out. It has a low voltage reminder, which will flash a built-in LED when the voltage drops below 2.8 volts. That increases as the voltage continues to drop, and a critical voltage level will force auto shutdown. That is a really good feature, especially if you're using rechargeable batteries. You don't want to completely drain a rechargeable battery. That will shorten its lifespan. So that's a really nice feature to have built into this. And of course it has a overheat protection circuitry, which as the light heats up, the overload protection circuitry kicks in, reducing the brightness of the light until the light cools down. So that's kind of common in a lot of these high output flashlights. All right, so I got a lot more specs to talk about, but let's actually take a look at the product. This is basically the box that this ships in. There's some details on the on the back. This is a black flashlight. It has a Kelvin rating of 4500 to 5000 K. It's made in China, obviously. And there's an address and, of course, the Zanflare website. Very nice packaging. The box is really nice. You don't normally see this level of packaging on flashlights. When you start stepping up to these mid-range price flashlights, you start to get better presentation box-wise. Here's the flashlight. We'll talk about that in just a moment. The top section of the box pulls out, and this is foam protected right here to protect the flashlight. Inside the box we have a user manual. This user manual is also available online from their website, so you can download a PDF copy or print out a larger one if the print in this is too small. Inside the box we have a carry bag. We'll take a look at that in a second. We have a wrist lanyard, and we'll talk about that in a second. A USB charging cable. As you can see, this is just the charging cable itself. It's designed to charge when plugged into a computer. If you were so inclined to charge this by plugging it into a cigarette lighter or a wall outlet, you would need the appropriate plug that the USB cable can plug into, and that's not included. Also inside is a baggie with 2 extra O-rings. The O-rings are already installed. These are extras. There's a little silica gel pack to absorb water, and this little piece of foam has a clip for the flashlight, so you can slide the clip on. I do believe it goes right there if you want to have a pocket clip. And I do believe that is everything that's included in the packaging. So we get quite a bit for the money. All right, so let's talk about the accessories. You see this little, it's like a little neoprene case. It also has a little loop thing right here. If you were so inclined, you could connect that to a carbiner and hang it on your pack. It has a little grip thing you can put your fingers through, and it has a zipper on the back. Let's get some of this stuff out of the way. So I have not tried to test fit the flashlight in here, so let's give it a shot. It does appear to be a little tight for fitting in this carry bag. And it is definitely tight, but it will fit in there. So fortunately, the material this is made out of is stretchable, and it does stretch a little bit. So really nice little additional feature. This, I guess this could be for putting your hands through. Maybe you could, put this on your belt, loop your belt through this, so you have the flashlight available, and just unzip it and pop it out. The zipper on this is plastic. Which is a good thing given how tight this fits in there. If this was a metal zipper, it would probably be scratching at the finish of the flashlight, so that's plastic. That's good. The lanyard, now one thing I noticed, this is a pretty nice little lanyard right here. It has one of these push button little adjustments on it, so you can put this on your hand and adjust the size of it so it fits your hand perfectly however you want to wear it. So it isn't just a basic lanyard. Also, it has a quick detach. So that's another nice feature. And it has, this is the little typical string piece that loops through. There's a hole right there in the rear cap, and you just stick it in there and attach it that way. So this lanyard is actually really nice. A lot of lanyards I see are just real basic. They're not this sophisticated. So really nice added bonus with this flashlight. The charging cable is basically just your basic USB type charging cable. And then of course the clip, which is designed, I do believe, to clip on right here. We just kind of snap it in place, and it is quite tight, so that will work really good if you're putting this in your pocket and clipping it in place. All right, so let's actually move on and talk about flashlights. So on the we've got two buttons on this. We have a button up front. We have a recessed push button. So you can see this particular button is recessed right here, so it doesn't stick out. Of course, that little hole right there we talked about, that's for your lanyard. On the other side here is a little steel spike. This is what they refer to as the tail safety hammer. I guess you could use this in a case of emergency. Maybe you could use this to smash a window if you had to escape from a car. I believe that might be what it's for. The recess button is your typical click type. Click to turn on, click to turn off. It's not a momentary type design, so it's just click on and click off. If we press and hold, it doesn't do anything. So it's just a typical click on, click off. You can see the inside lens right there. You can see very, very nicely designed. Knurled finish here. The rear cap area here is textured. This area up here is textured around where this front button is. The cap, let's go ahead and take this off. You can see I have a Ultrafire. This is a 3.7 volt lithium ion, 3000 milliamp. This is a rechargeable battery. This light does not come with this. This is something I had in another flashlight, and I'm using it in this particular light for testing purposes. You can see the spring mechanism here, very tight spring. It holds the batteries in place. I found this light works great with the CR123 Ace, two of those, or the 18650. I don't have rechargeable CR or RCR 123 batteries, so I did not test it with those since I don't own any. So that's the cap, the spring. Take the clip off here real quick. Let's put the battery back in. All right. Going back to the front of the flashlight, you can see this particular secondary ring right here. If we unscrew this and slide it down, that gives us access to the USB charging port. So when you go to charge this, you just kind of unscrew this and slide it down, and you can plug in your USB cable right here. And there is an LED here that flashes when it's charging. The LED also flashes when the battery is low, like mentioned. So we can just slide that back up and tighten it down. So that's nice. Now the thing about this button on the front, this button doesn't do anything on its own. This is the mode select button right here. So what we would do is we would turn the flashlight on with the rear tail cap by clicking it once. Turn the flashlight on, and then this front button right here, we would press it to cycle through the different modes. We press it once, and we turn the light off. Press it again. We have the moonlight mode, which, let's do this. just so you can kind of see what's going on here. We'll put something right there. So this is listed as the moonlight mode. This is 1 lumen, and the runtime is 550 hours at this light output. If we press the button again, we bump up to the low power mode, which is 50 lumens, and the runtime is 22 hours. And if we press it again, we go to the mid illumination mode, which is 290 lumens with a runtime of 6 hours. Press it again, and let's see, we got moonlight, low, mid, high. Okay, so the high mode, which I thought would be toggled with this particular button right here. I have to excuse me. Okay, the moonlight, low, mid, and high. Moonlight, low, mid, high. Okay, high is not toggling on. If we press and hold the button, we get the strobe mode. Press and hold it again. Takes you into the strobe mode. And then there is the SOS mode. So if we press and hold it again, it goes from the strobe mode to the SOS mode. So I'm assuming that's Morse code for SOS. Press it again for a few seconds and to turn back to those modes. So if we go to this particular mode, which I believe based on the instructions I'm reading, this is the mid output mode, and we turn it off and turn it back on, it remembers the mode, and that's what we're put in. So that's the basic functionality right there. Okay, so I wanted to quickly read through the notes one more time to make sure that I fully understand what's going on here. Let's toggle back to the moonlight, low, mid. If we press the button twice rapidly, that toggles on the flare mode, which is listed at 1240 lumens. Now the runtime, like I mentioned before, the 1240 lumen mode, that's kind of a catch there because the runtime on that is listed as 30 seconds. Once the unit heats up to a certain thermal level, it will kick down into the high mode, which is 590 lumens, and that has a run hour of 2 hours and 30 minutes. So you can't actually toggle on the high mode with this button itself. The button takes you through moonlight, low, and mid, and then 2 rapid presses takes you into the flare mode, and it will run in the flare mode until it heats up, and then it will kick down to the high mode, which is 590 lumens, and then the runtime is 2 hours and 30 minutes. So I did read this, and I did play around with this before, but it wasn't quite clear to me until I read it again while I was playing with it here off camera for just a few seconds. So in this high mode, this is the bezel is starting to heat up right here, so it is starting to get pretty hot. And we can press this momentary button here. You can see the momentary button will allow us to turn the light off, and when we turn it back on, it toggles through the different modes all the way up to the flare mode. Okay, now that we've discussed the different light output modes on this, I'm just going to read a few more specs on this, and I'll give you my conclusions of this flashlight at the end of the reading of the technical data. The distance listed for this flashlight is 252 meters. The beam intensity is 16650 CD. It has a light angle of 60 degrees. The special mode, which I showed you, is the strobe in the SOS mode. The IPX68 waterproof mode is listed for 2 meters. Drop resistant to 1.5 meters. The let's see if there's anything else. Zanflare says that they use a crystal coating technology combined with precision digital optics technology to provide extreme reflector performance. It's machined from a solid piece of aluminum, which we talked about, and it does appear to me to be a 6061 aircraft grade aluminum. The charging port and indicator full charging time is 4 hours. And I did, that may vary depending upon which batteries you're using. This 18650 rechargeable battery did take approximately 4 hours to charge. The charging mode, the LED that comes on, when it's red, it's charging. When it turns green, it's finished charging. If it's blinking, that reminds you that it needs to be recharged. If the voltage is under 2.8 volts, the LED will blink once per minute. When the voltage is under 2.6, the LED would blink 3 times and then turn off. And that's pretty much all of the technical notes I have here. The warranty they list is a 3-day DOA warranty. If you get it and it's defective within 3 days of receipt, they'll replace it free of charge. It has a 30-day free return warranty. It can be returned to get refund within 30 days of receipt in new condition if you don't like it. And it has a 3-year free repair replacement. Any product sold by Zanflare direct on Amazon which is found to be defective under normal use and service within 3 years and more than 30 days counting from the date of purchasing with proof of purchase can be replaced with new ones at no charge. Lifetime limited warranty for items purchased after 3 years. We will still provide warranty service, but the cost of labor, maintenance, and exclusion of accessories or replacement parts will be paid by the customer. So that's actually a pretty good warranty for a flashlight such as this. I was just reading some of the technical notes out of the PDF user manual that I printed out, available on Zanflare's website. So that's really nice to have a large copy, which is much easier for me to read. My final conclusion on this is a very high quality light. Some of these low output modes are not necessarily modes that I need myself. I like a simple on-off mode, and I like high mode only. I don't need extra modes. If other modes are available, that's fine, as long as they don't get in the way of me using the light. And this definitely fits the bill, because we can choose our intensity level, whichever one it happens to be. And we can turn the light off, turn it back on. So, okay, so for low output mode, let's say we have low output mode set, turn it off, turn it back on, it comes back in the low mode. So if we go to higher mode, turn it off, turn it back on, it comes back on in the higher mode. So for me, to set this at one mode, turn it off, come back, turn it on, that's what I like. That's the feature that I need. A lot of these other additional modes are not something that I really need for my day-to-day use. But in an emergency where you might need the strobe function or the SOS function, it's nice to have. So this would be more akin to being in a bug out bag where you might make use of the strobe or the SOS mode. One of the other nice things is this will actually sit, you know, like I mentioned earlier, that with the tail cap, the button being flush with the tail cap, this will sit up. So if you go to the moonlight mode, which is 1 lumens for 550 hours, if you go to this mode and set it up, it can kind of act as a lantern, so to speak. Like if this was inside of a tent and you were to set this down, it would shine up and provide some illumination for a long period of time. So that's kind of nice as well. Everything about this is high quality from what I can see. I have used this a little bit, but again, this is a brand new product. So longevity, I can't comment on at this point, but it looks to be something that will last for years and years. And I do recommend, if you choose a flashlight like this, go with the rechargeable batteries. I mean, you're paying the extra money to get the built-in rechargeable capabilities. Go with the rechargeable batteries as well. They're not that expensive. You can score those batteries off of Amazon or eBay. They're relatively inexpensive. And you can basically just use the light until it dies and charge it and use it again. CR123 batteries are not the most expensive batteries, but they are more expensive than your common AA's and AAA's, and they're not that easy to find. You can't just go into your local CVS and normally find CR123 batteries, so you may have to order stocks of those off of Amazon or eBay and have some handy. But I definitely like to go rechargeable whenever possible, and this definitely fits the bill. So that's the Zanflare F1 flashlight, available directly from Zanflare for $39.99. I think it's a great buy at that price point with what you get with all the additional accessories and the charging capability. It would be nice, this is just my personal opinion, I would like this flashlight better if it came with a 18650 rechargeable battery. I think that should be included, but it's not. So that's going to end this review of the Zanflare F1 flashlight.